Hey guys, it's Isaac, and today I'll be presenting about CSS values and units. So I think this is actually a really helpful topic for me, just because I've learned a little bit more about how to appropriately use the values that we put in and also how to utilize units. Um, so what is CSS values? Values are set against CSS properties and reside within CSS declaration block, which is a process of CSS rule or statement. So CSS allows following types of values: integers, real numbers, lengths, percentages, URLs, colors, strings, and other unsupported values. Basically, all the information we put in are values, whether it's numbers, paragraphs, names for classes or IDs. All of those are values, and also in CSS. Just the colors that we pick and all the small details, those are values that we put in. So units are basically the type of size and length. The definition of it is that a CSS unit determines the size or length of a property or setting for an element or its content. So looking more into this, I've learned that there are two types of units, absolute and also relative units. So absolute lengths are used per units that are fixed, and they are expressed in any of these will appear as exactly that size. Relative length units specify a length relative to another length property. Relative length units scale better between different rendering medium. So basically, an absolute unit is just fixed, and the relative units are kind of a little bit more customizable depending on the object that they are related to or the property that they are related to. So here are some examples of absolute units. We have centimeters, millimeters, inches, pixels, points, and picas. So basically, once we use these units, they will stay the same, no matter what type of medium or what type of device we are using. So there's some explanations here on their conversions. With relative units, we have these here in the table. EM, which is basically like the current font, EX, CH, REM, the VW, which is the width of the viewport, VH, which is the height, V minimum, which is the viewport's minimum dimension, and also Vmax is the viewport's large dimension. And lastly, there's the percentage, and it's related to the parent element, and I'll be kind of showing that through an example later. So right now we're going to be moving on to the examples. Cool. So this is the example for CSS values, and right now I'm using my one of my assignments from a few weeks ago. This is the site plan, and I'm just going to be showing the HTML part of it. So when it comes to CSS values, anything that we enter in, besides from the tags and everything else, they're values that we put in. from the links that we put in to the strings, the type that we put in, also the sizes, anything from the URLs, the lengths. So basically all of those are values. And of course we can also see the values in CSS. What we type in is the colors, the sizes, yeah. And also the properties. So those are considered as values in CSS. Cool. So right now I'll be showing examples of absolute units. So once again, absolute units are fixed, and whatever device we use, these properties, and they're going to be the exact same size. So for more solid and stable properties, absolute units are the best ones to use. So a good example of absolute units is this one, like 360 pixels, which means that the navigation is gonna stay in that length no matter what device. And if I were to show an example of that, let me just grab this. So we have the navigation right here in this section. So if I press F12, so which means like the navigation stays in that size, like 360 pixels. So you can see that up there. Maybe let's see. Yeah, so you can see that even though like the length of the page is longer, the navigation still stayed within 360, and now the screen size is 375. So because of pixel being an absolute unit, the property didn't change, and it stayed the same size in whatever device you're using. Cool. So the next example is just gonna be about the relative units, and I am gonna show that example through this image right here, and I have named it forecast.img. So that's the name value that I gave for the class, and as you can see right now, I have it set as 100%. 100%, which means the value of the width is going to be dependent on its what do you call it? Its parent element. There you go. So the parent element is definitely yeah, the 5 forecast div, so because it's inside it, and this is our image right here. So here in the CSS, as you can see, that I've set some border and also pixels, and also with the 5 forecast, I've set a 25 pixel padding for each of the sides. So oh, sorry. So if I'm gonna show that through oh, there you go. Cool. So basically, here inside this is the 5 forecast div. So there's padding here of 25, and it's also the entire document has margins. So as you can see here, like the paragraphs starts here on this side, and then we have some padding here. So basically, if we put 100% value and the percentage unit, it will cover all this space that is left here inside that div. So let me just show you something. I'm gonna be just okay. So I'm gonna try using let's say 20 VW, which is the width of the viewport. So basically, if you have your viewport set in a number of pixels, then that is what you're gonna see. Actually, I'm just gonna put it back to 100% and show you what it looks like first. So that actually is the small property. Okay, so here it is. So this is what I was talking about. We have divs here. Oh, I guess we have yeah, we have the paddings over there. Basically the image is occupying 100% width of the space available. So of just the element. So if I were to change that to maybe just 20%, so as you can see, that is 20% of the available space in that div. Another thing that I've learned, I think this is pretty interesting and helpful, is you can customize it, kind of make it relative to the size of your viewport. So right now I'm working with the small, for the small screen size. So if I can just type in 20, so this is 20% of the width of the viewport. I think that's VW. Okay, so I'm just gonna save that and check that. So that's 20% of the width of the viewport. So if I just maybe try like 50%, then hopefully it's gonna give me, yep. So that is 50% of the width of the viewport. So yeah, so that's kind of how you make it relative. So basically, if the screen gets bigger, then basically we can see the image is growing as well. So right now I put in the space of an iPad, so it basically occupied half of, since I put in 50% or 50 percentage of the viewport. So it basically occupied half of the size of, half of the width of the viewport that I'm working with. So I think that's just like a pretty cool way of kind of making things a little bit more connected when we are coding and stuff. And so yeah, hopefully that was helpful.